Free socks.
This is the emergency broadcast system. This is not a test. Repeat, this is not a test. Stay tuned for further instructions.
All personnel, report to the nearest tornado shelter.
Welcome, everyone. I'll do that again. Welcome, everyone. My name is Fernando. I'm God's Prepared Warrior, and I am so glad that you guys are here today. And I have been waiting for today. Hopefully, you guys can hear me now. Good. 5x5. Awesome. Good. I have a pretty good topic that I want to share with all of you today. And, I also want to encourage you today, too. So it's kind of you're going to get kind of a 2-for-1 deal tonight for free. Isn't that awesome? I am. Thank you, Linda, for the 5x5 for the channel. And share this with your friends and let them know that we are here tonight. Maybe somebody staying up late with all of us, right? To watch a YouTube channel. As I was just saying, just want to welcome all of you guys. I gave this title tonight. I titled it, let me fix this real quick. November. If you are aware, but we are 50 days to the election. 50 days to where we go to the polls and we vote for the person that we want to be the president. 50 days. It's not too far away. 50 days is really quick. When I saw that, I'm like, 50 days. We're still in September, but we're halfway through September as of today, and so we're 50 days out. This is the countdown to November, and I know that many of us are feeling anxious and uncertain about the future, especially in the light of recent events, right? But tonight we're going to shift our focus from fear to faith, and from panic to trust in God's divine plan. I think tonight is so important, and it's like I posted in all of my social medias this week about tonight. How excited I was for tonight, because I really want to be encouraging in the light of all, right? Let's get started and let's talk about the elephant in the room, because every channel that I listened to almost was talking about this today, and I really didn't get too much into it. I've been really busy, and been really busy working with my mutual assistance group. And let's talk about Donald Trump's on the attempt on Donald Trump's life today. So we're gonna look at that. We're gonna look at that. We're gonna look at the growing tensions in our country, and then we're going to talk about the battle that's looming, right? Not from foreign nations, but from within our own borders. And so, there's a lot of talk about that. There's a lot of people worried about that. And so I want to talk about that tonight. And the stakes are high as we approach November's election. And it's no secret, right? It's no secret. No matter who wins the nomination, we're heading into challenging times. But today, guys, you are God's prepared warriors, and my job is to help prepare you in that way. And so, I just pray that every time you leave one of my videos, maybe not my TikTok page, maybe when you leave, our lives, that you leave with the understanding that God is on our side, right? And when Jesus says, "Do not worry," we shouldn't worry, right? So I just want to kind of talk about things, talk about those things today, because you guys are warriors. You guys are warriors, and I am always praying for you guys. Now, this is not the time to lose heart. We're 50 days away to the election. We're 50 days away to whatever is going to happen, and it's whoever wins, right? Whoever wins, those are going to be the challenging times that we're gonna face, and we're probably gonna see. So, but let me say this again, right? God is in control, no matter what happens in the coming weeks, no matter what happens in the coming months. Our sovereign God, He's got a plan for all of us. So let's just jump right into this real quick. So we all know, and if you didn't, you're hearing it from me. Trump was taken by his security detail this morning because someone opened fire. And so there was a possible gun at the Palm Beach Golf Club and Resort. Like I said, I really didn't look too much into this today. I know that I learned my lesson from the first attempt on his life. That everything is changing and everything is evolving until all of that information comes him away, and they handle the situation. According to the New York Post, and I think I got this early in the day, Donald Trump was taken to safety by his Secret Service agents, and they opened fire on a man who was spotted with what may have been a gun, while the former president was on the links. So, according to law enforcement sources, this is what happened, right? The Secret Service spotted this suspicious individual on the Trump International Golf Course in West Palm Beach in Florida, and opened fire when the agents saw that what appeared to be the barrel of a gun. So that is what I heard earlier today. Like I said, I really didn't get into it, but that's going to be investigated, and probably tomorrow we'll know more details different than what we knew today. So just make sure that you are aware of that you stay vigilant to that's happening. Now, here are my thoughts. If this was an attempt, right? If this was an attempt, they are not going to stop. I just want to make that very, very clear. They are not going to stop. They're going to keep trying to push down the next president of the United States. Donald Trump literally stands in the way of the Democratic Party to continue their reign, to continue all the things that they're doing, to unhinge or seen it in the news. You've seen it on social media that the borders are open because they left the door open. The dollar sucks because if you go all the way back, we were taken off the gold standard. So there's all of these things that have been little bits and pieces that have brought us to where we were today. It just didn't happen yesterday or the last year or the last 4 years. It's been a progression of getting us to where we are. So, I truly believe that Donald Trump is really what stands in the way of the Democratic Party for them to continue to do what they do, and they're gonna not stop at anything. They're gonna keep trying to really remove him from any. I truly believe that if this is correct, this person was there to harm him, that it is not over until they complete their mission. So you guys talk about that in the chat, because they're not going to stop from being allowed to come in and become the next president. So there's that, right? The next thing I wanna share with you is there was a church. There was an article I found, and I follow this gentleman on YouTube. He is his title or his handle is Christian Warrior Training, and so what he does church security, and so he does a lot of church security. But he also talks about some of the stuff that's happening in our world, and because he's in security, his website, you can go and learn training from him and all that kind of stuff. So it's Christian Warrior Training. So check him out. He doesn't know that I'm plugging him, but I really love watching his stuff because of I'm in the church world myself, and it's really interesting to see some of the things that he's seen. So one of the articles he shared in an email was church security detains stabbing suspect. So it says here, Carl Anthony Wills, 31 years old, was arrested and charged with first-degree assault for allegedly stabbing a man in the neck during a confrontation at a Springfield church on September 8th this year. And the incident occurred after a verbal argument between two men while waiting in line for a meal. So I guess, they had words in church, and then this is when this altercation occurred. And it says, causing a deep laceration from the victim's earlobe to the base of his neck, narrowly missing the carotid, but was detained by the church security until the police arrived. So it's not just political figures. It's not just, people that are famous, that these things are happening to. It's happening to regular people. We were told not too long ago, right, to expect things that are going to happen, around us like this. So important, man. It's so important to really be vigilant to the things that are happening around you, but to go online and search these things, right, to find out what's happening out there. I think a lot of people are going to be caught off guard when something really, really happens, and they become the victim. And so if I'm gonna that I can wherever I am to know what's happening around me. So that's one thing in the news. And so we need to stay we need to be aware of those things that are happening. The next thing I want to share with you is on a financial piece. Boeing goes on strike. So Boeing Boeing's 33,000 production workers voted overwhelmingly to strike over 90% of to strike, with over 90% of members rejecting the company's proposal of a 25% wage hike for 4 years. The work stopped and is a blow to the new CEO, Kelly Orthberg, Orthberg, who was brought in last month to restore faith in the company amid a series of safety lapses. Literally, the people at Boeing are really pissed. The people are mad, right? And so they're striking. So that's happening, right? Family Dollar. This chain is planning to close at least 600 stores this year, right? Family Dollar is owned by Dollar Tree, and Dollar Tree has already started shutting down Dollar Tree stores. So we see, that happening across 28 states after filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Applebee's is closing over 30 more stores this year. Applebee's is pretty good. I like Applebee's. Best Buy closed about 24 stores last year, and it plans to close an additional 10 to 15 stores by 2025. So, we're seeing a lot more closures, right? CVS announced in 2021 that it would be closing over or almost 900 stores through more or dozens of its pharmacies inside the Target stores. So, the pharmacies and the Target store are looks like they're going to start closing them down. So, and guys, the list goes on and on and on about businesses that are closing because they're filing bankruptcy. They're not making it, right? So they close they liquidate stuff. And I mean, it is just going on and on, right? That's just here in America. In the world news, make it sound all important, right? In the world news today. I just took this because of preparedness. So, the other day in Vietnam, a typhoon hit Vietnam, and 250 people are dead, no longer with us, and about 800 people have been injured, and at least 82 people remain missing, right? The typhoon was considered the strongest storm to strike the Asian continent this year, and it made landfall there in Vietnam. So, I that's just so far away, Fernando, and it's not even our country. Why are you telling us that? Because I want all of you to get into the mode of, if that happened here, and I know it can't because typhoons don't happen here, but hurricanes happen here. If we had this hurricane event that happened, what would I do? And you might say, well, Fernando, I live inland. Yes, yeah, I do too. And but hurricanes still affect, right? They rains, constant rain, flooding, all that good stuff. I want you to take these things and ask, what do I do in this event, right? Maybe you went to visit. Maybe your thought is, you never know, right? You could be visiting Hawaii, and a hurricane just kind of roll up there, and you're stuck there, right? Literally. So, you got to think about those things. So that happened in Vietnam. The other thing that I have here is the World Health Organization approves this. This is the first for a vaccine to combat the mpox, right? The mpox. This will have 2 doses. The vaccine is made for adults from 18 on up, and we know the mpox by when it was first called monkeypox, and so they changed the name on it, and so yeah, so they made that now, and so it's going to be 2 doses. And it was declared a global health emergency last month following the spread of an especially virulent strain or violent strain of the virus in Africa, right? So over 20,000 cases, at least 500 deaths have been recorded across 14 countries in Africa so far this year. So that's the other thing, right? That's the other thing that's happening with that, right? So is it a false flag? Is it the next pandemic? Is it real, right? All the places, the businesses closing, churches becoming a violent place now. And just even today when all of this happened with Donald Trump, guys, I can't say it enough. We have to be prepared. It is to the point that we really have to look behind our shoulder. And, it's not even somebody coming into the church when you're worshiping on a Sunday and somebody wanting to create harm. It could be you're just strolling down the street and, a fight breaks out and all of a sudden you're in the middle of this thing, right? And this thing just kind of breaks out around you. You could be on the job, right? And, something happened. I saw a video on X the other day. There was a couple, and I'm pretty sure they, well, I'm not gonna assume, but anyway, this couple had an accident and they ran their car into a restaurant drive-through window. And so you can be at work and something crazy just happens like that, right? And so I have a friend who this happened to just not too long ago, and so he's part of our community, and so we're praying for him for his recovery, and you just never know. We have to be prepared. It's not about when you hear about preparedness, it's about you got to collect water, you got to collect all that stuff. Yeah, that thing is important. Those things are important. But it's also when we are headed to the grocery store. It's also when we are taking our kids to school. It is also when we are headed to work. I mean, just anything can happen wherever we are. And I would rather you be prepared than not prepared. My wife was telling me yesterday, it might have been today. No, I think it was yesterday. She was telling me about a person who was walking on their phone and they fell directly into a manhole because they were not paying attention. I mean, that's just the most basic thing that we can do as human beings. If we're walking down a sidewalk, you have the cars that are passing by, you have people that are passing by, you have construction workers opening up manholes, and you got to be vigilant. You got to be paying attention to those things. And so I can't even imagine that if you would have told me, no, not really. I mean, why? And so, here we are. People have walked into to telephone poles, signs. People have walked out onto a busy street, almost gotten ran over. I mean, anything can happen wherever we are, and we have to be prepared. I can't say that enough. So that was a long introduction, but here is the priceless, the most expensive information, and I'm gonna give it to you tonight because I think we all need to have this. So, um, so I'm going to share this with you guys. Um, let's see. I'm buffering. Okay, hopefully, it's probably because my wife's watching Netflix right now. But yeah. All right. So, what do we do? Right? 50 days out. What do we do? All these things are happening around us. What do we do? Number one, I will repeat what I previously said. We need to be prepared, right? And I will break this down. We need to be prepared practically, right? Let's start with the practical side, right? We have to be prepared. We do have to have we have to build an emergency plan for whatever that is for you and your family, right? If you're bugging in, if you're bugging out, whatever that looks like, you have to be building that emergency plan for your family, right? And if you live in places where potential civil unrest will pop off, like where I am, then you need to really, really have an emergency plan, right? Because if me and my group, we talk about The Walking Dead a lot, and some of them say, The Walking Dead has prepared me, and that's great because I say the same thing. Yeah, I really like that show. It just kind of got weird at the end, but anyway, it if you live in an urban area, it's going to be really tough. There is going to be a million people. I'm talking about me. There's going to be a million people who are not prepared. And you're the prepared one. And you have all of these things. It's going to be those people that are not prepared are going to be looking for things to survive. And if there is no law enforcement happening, then at that point it's the purge, right? Or it's no holds barred, and it's everyone for themselves, right? I want you to think about that, because we have to build an emergency plan for whatever we're gonna do, right? If you live in the rural areas, praise the Lord, but you're still gonna have to put a plan together. You're gonna have to put a security plan for your property. You're gonna have to do all of these things. It's not just, oh, I live out in the country and I'm great, right? Or I have a homestead and I'm good. No, you still have to work on emergency plans for where you are. So it's important to start building, to start working on those things. Do you know where you're going to go if you live in the city? Do you know who to contact or how to contact them? Right? You need to work on a communication plan. You need to be able to connect with other folks, and so that's what we're doing, and we're creating that plan. We're working on that plan. We're working on our comms, with my family, and so you got to do the same thing with your family, right? And you got to figure out how you're going to protect you and your family if things just spiral out of control, right? Go back to what was happening or probably still happening in Venezuela, in New England, in England. And so, look at those situations in oh, I forgot the name of the other place. And eventually they're going to happen here. And for us, it's going to be because of this countdown to November. And so you have to build your emergency plans for that time. So work on those things. If you have questions, guys, send me an email. Right? I want to be able to help you in any way that I can. Shoot me an email. You can find my email address on the community page. I'll even tell you, it's godspreparedwarrior@gmail.com. Send me an email. Say, hey, Fernando, I plan to do this. What do you think? Right? So do that. Reach out to me on all my social media. If at the bottom here, you can see all of my social media links. Follow me because I'm throwing things out everywhere on these links. Information, things that are happening in the news. If you want that information, it's on TikTok. Follow me on TikTok. And so the link is there. And so follow me so that you can stay informed because, my thing is, to stay vigilant. That's what I do. I want to do that because I want to protect my family. And so I religiously stay vigilant to the things that are happening. So you need to build your emergency plan. This is how we do it. The next thing is you have to stock essential supplies. This is paramount, right? You've probably heard it from many other channels. You probably downloaded PDFs. You have to have food, you have to have water, and you have to have medical supplies. I really don't hear a lot of people talking about medical supplies, but you need to have medical supplies because guess what? That just might not work in when the poop hits the fan scenario. I mean, I'm just saying, right? Because people are going to be robbing and stealing, and that just might be a place that also. But here's what I'm going to tell you about that, right? And you're always going to hear this from me. We need to prepare, but not out of fear. I want you to get this because you're not going to get this from any other channel that I've seen so far. And this is why I started my channel. We do need to prepare, but we don't need to prepare out of fear, but out of wisdom, right? Proverbs 21:20 says, "The wise have wealth and luxury, but fools spend whatever they get," right? The wise have wealth and luxury, and the fools spend whatever they get. In this time of somewhat peace, right? We should be stockpiling those luxury, but fools spend whatever they get. There's a lot of people today that I know who go to the grocery store for the week. They shop for the week on what they need. I've seen some of my friends' refrigerators and I'm like, where's the food? You go to my refrigerator, it's plumb full of stuff, right? There's a plethora. There are some people who plan for 3 days. Guys, if anything is to ever happen, we got to plan for months and years. And you can't do that when the poop hits the fan. You can't. So the time is now to prepare. You got to build those emergency plans for whatever it is you're going to do with your family, and then you need to stock those supplies. It's better to have than to not have, right? It's that old adage. What is it? Two is one and one is none, right? It's so important to have that understanding in the back of your brain, right? One of the things that I do is, I don't let the vehicle go down below half a tank of gas. What if nothing works and all you have is whatever you have in your tank? And so you're shooting yourself in the foot if you're not even preparing there. I've seen lines, right? I did a TikTok long ago when a hurricane, I think last year, was gonna hit the Texas coast, and everybody freaked out. And me and my friend went to go put gas, and we went to Costco, and the lines were long. Why? Because this hurricane was coming. Every parking spot in Costco was full, all the way to the overflow parking, and then all of our grocery stores here in Texas, well, in my area, were ransacked. There was nothing left. Why? Because many people are not preparing. And so we have to prepare practically. We have to do that, um, um, and we have to continue to do it. Here's the next thing. I'm gonna always say this: we need to stay vigilant, right? You don't want to be caught off guard, right? You want to stay informed. About staying informed, you can't allow the media to control your emotions. Know that this thing happened, right? For me today was like, okay, this is strike two for Donald Trump, right? Or, well, not for Donald Trump, but for whoever. Allow that information to control my emotions. I don't freak out. I immediately go into prayer, into my prayer closet, and I began to ask God to begin to intervene in all of these things, knowing well that Jesus said, "Do not worry," right? Because God provides for the flowers in the field, right? He does all. They do not worry about what they're going to put on, about what they're going to eat, or what they're going to wear. He provides for them. Why wouldn't he provide for us? So, so stay vigilant, but don't allow the media to control your emotions. And remember, you need to remember this. Knowledge is power, right? Knowledge is power. I want you to get this. If you want to write it down, I would say write it down. Knowledge is power, but panic is not a strategy. Think about it. I don't know if you've ever freaked out ever before in your life. I don't know if you know somebody who freaks out all the time. But that's not really a strategy. Knowledge is a strategy, right? Taking knowledge and using that knowledge to help you prepare. Now that's a strategy, right? So when it comes to staying vigilant, don't be caught off guard. Don't ever be caught off guard. Be the one that's at home watching the news unfold because your car tank is full, or at least in between half and full, right? And your pantry stocked, your store pantry is stocked, and you have toilet paper, right? Just to poke fun at the vid, right? And you're not the one that's in line trying to get gas or trying to get things from the store. So it's important to stay vigilant and not ever be caught off guard. Here's the next thing I want to share with you. We are at a point, like the line is drawn in the sand, right? And I'm gonna be talking to Christians. I'm gonna be talking to people who believe we have to be prepared spiritually, right? Most importantly, the most important thing is for God's prepared warriors, that's you, to prepare spiritually. So you do need to prepare practically, but you also need to prepare spiritually, right? Because when you prepare spiritually and your mind, I want you to get this. God is able to guard your heart and your mind. When you heard me a while ago talking about being vigilant, right? It's taking that knowledge, right? That knowledge that is power, and it's not panicking, right? Because panic is not a strategy. We already said that. We have to prepare spiritually, and when we do that, God guards our heart and He guards our mind, right? Philippians 4:6-7 says, "Do not worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything," right? I love what Paul is writing here, because he's not talking about panic. He is talking about going into the throne room with prayer. He's talking about not worrying about the things that are happening around us, but going to God with those things that are happening around us. when we look at it that way, we are taking those things and we're not allowing those things to direct or control our emotions, right? And so when we're not worried and we come to God in prayer, here's the next thing. We're to tell God what you need. God, all these things are closing down. God, they're trying to kill the former president, and he's trying to be president, right? It doesn't matter about what side of the fence you're on. It's about praying because this evil thing is happening to this man, right? God, we need help because things are becoming chaotic in our world. Tell God what you need and thank him. It goes on and it says, and thank him for all that he has done. God, thank you for all of this time of peace that we have had as American citizens. But God, we are coming across these tumultuous times and we need you. I am not going to worry because you have a plan. But guard my heart, God. Guard my mind from the things that I see and the things that I hear, right? The verse goes on and it says, then you will experience God's peace when you don't worry, when you pray instead, and you tell God everything that you need, and you thank him for what he's done. Then you will experience God's peace that exceeds anything that we can understand. So it's important for God's prepared warriors, that is you, to be spiritually prepared. Here's the next one. In that time of prayer, we need to pray without ceasing, right? You are God's prepared warrior. I'm going to hammer this to you guys because I want you to look at yourself as God's prepared warrior. He has you here for a reason. You just didn't come across this random YouTube channel just because. Maybe if you were in Pinball's live and he told you about me and y'all came on that one day and y'all have been here since. Praise the Lord. But God, so that you can get these spiritual keys for you to be God's prepared warriors. So we have to pray without ceasing. Pray without ceasing, right? So as God's prepared warriors, we must be in constant communication with him, constantly, right? Prayer is our most powerful weapon during these times, especially today, especially in our times today, especially in the next. It's important for us to do that. Prayer is our most powerful weapon. A lot of people, I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of people look at prayer as a second thing to do. It's not the top priority. Well, they'll say, I can at least pray, right? No, prayer is a weapon, right? It is the most powerful. We're not just preparing for a physical battle. I want you to get this. This battle, yes, may turn into a physical battle, but you have to remember that this spiritual war has been going on for a millennia, and it is right here at our doorstep today. And we're not just spiritual war. And whenever something happens in the spiritual realm, it manifests itself in the physical. This is why Paul tells us in Ephesians chapter 6, verse 10, he tells us about putting on the full armor of God, right? He tells us, verse 10 says, be strong in the Lord. And then in the following verses, he talks about the battle is not between flesh and blood, but it's in the principalities in the spiritual realm. That's where the battle is. And it is through prayer that, because we are praying to the Lord God Almighty. And so we have to pray without ceasing because we are in a spiritual war. And it's so important. I'm going to read you this. I'm almost done. Trust me. Here's the next. We have to trust God's sovereignty. No matter how out of control, right, things seem, God is in control. I want you to get this. I want people don't understand this, but I want you to get it. No matter how out of control things seem, God is in control. Nothing catches God by surprise. It'll catch us because we're not in the know, right? God knows beginning and the end. That's why he is the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, right? He knows that. He knows how our life is. He was the one who created us, right? He knows how many hairs are on our head. He says that we are beautifully and wonderfully made. And, he knows us and he knows what will happen to us. Nothing catches God by surprise. No matter how out of control things seem, God is always in control. And I'm going to tell you, it's important. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1 through 11. It reminds us that there is a time for everything, right? A season for every activity under the heaven. There's a time to be born, right? A time to die, a time to plant, and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build up. There is a time to weep and a time to laugh. There is a time to mourn and a time to dance. Everybody's like, "Yay, we go to Footloose at that point." Verse 5 says, "There is a time to scatter stones and a time to gather them. There is a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. There is a time to search and a time to give up." Verse 6 continues to say, "A time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace." Verse oil. "I have seen the burden God has laid on the human race." Verse 11 says, "He made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart. Yet no one can fathom." Get this last part here. "No one can fathom what God has done from the beginning to the end." No matter how out of control it seems, God is in control. I want you to know this thing. If you want to write it down, this is important. We are living through a time of testing. But that doesn't mean that God has left us. Doesn't mean that. We are in a time of testing. God hasn't left us. He is still right here with us. His word tells us that he will never leave us, nor will he forsake us. And I will take you back to the Old Testament. I will take you all the way back to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And for them, in this story, if you haven't read it, I encourage you to go read it. It's so encouraging. And I think it's perfect for this time. They got in trouble. This is the Fernando version. They got in trouble, right? Because they were keeping to their promise to God. And the king threw them in the furnace. And this furnace was heated. I think it says 3 or 4 times hotter than normal. And they were thrown in there. Clothes and all, they were thrown in there. And they closed the door. And that was their punishment. To be burned alive. And as they looked through the hole in the door, they noticed that there weren't 3 people in there. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. But there were 4 people in that fiery furnace. We totally believe that Jesus was right there with them. We are living in a time of testing. God hasn't left us. He is with us even in the storm. He is guiding us in the storm. He is also protecting us in the storm. And I want you to know that you are God's prepared warriors. And I know uncertainty, we will face an uncertainty. And I know this uncertainty will probably be overwhelming. But tonight, I want to encourage you to stay vigilant and to stay prepared. Not just physically, but spiritually. And I want to leave you with this encouraging scripture. This is one of my favorite scriptures. It's Isaiah chapter 41, verse 10. And it says, "Do not be afraid, for I am with you. Don't be discouraged, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and I will help you. I will hold you up with my victorious right hand." This is a promise to all of us as God's prepared warriors that our God will never leave us and that there's nothing that can take us out of the palm of his hand. No matter what comes in November, or as some would say in October, right? No matter what comes, even tomorrow, we are held in the palm of God's victorious hand. Now is the time to prepare, to protect your heart, and to protect your mind, and to trust in God's timing for your life. To trust in God's timing for your family. Because when the storm hits, you'll see. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 13 says, "At the end of the battle, we will still be standing. Standing firm on his promises. Standing armed with his wisdom. And standing firm, filled with God's glorious peace." We don't know what will happen in November. We don't know what it will bring. But I do know this. We have a God who is bigger than any election. We have a God that is bigger than any unrest. We have a God that is bigger than any crisis. So, keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes on him. And you will never be led astray. Seek ye first the kingdom of God. Amen. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this talk today. I'm sorry that we had to meet on another day, but I spent some time with my family yesterday, and it was my grandson's birthday, and I wanted to spend that time with him, and so it was really fun, and I just thank God, for the opportunity to be able to do that. So, guys, I'm thankful for you guys hanging with me, even on a Sunday, late. If you got to go to work tomorrow, I'm with you on that. I got to go too. So get some rest, and I look forward to seeing you this week, and of course next Saturday we'll go back to our regular schedule. So guys, thank you for joining God's Prepared Warrior channel. You guys are God's Prepared Warrior. Along with me, we're going to learn together all this good stuff, and we're going to pray for one another, and I'm praying for you. So God bless you guys, and hope